Welcome back to the Awakening Podcast. I'd like to start up with Jacqueline and myself, Collins, and we're going to do part two of the mechanics of creation. Jacqueline, welcome.
Good morning. Exciting morning, Monday morning. Yeah, the day
Yeah,
before the big day tomorrow. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement, a lot of tension, a lot of questions and wondering and what is our future going to hold and where are we going? What's going to happen? So, yeah, it's a big and then we had a rare blue moon uh, Saturday evening on Halloween night. I don't know if you were aware of that, but for me,
did
that
not
was
notice that. Wow.
yeah. I think that particular full moon, which is a blue moon. Do you know what a blue moon is?
No, tell us quickly about different moons. I
So
forgot all that stuff.
a blue moon is when you have a full moon two times in a month. So the
Mm.
second full moon in 1 month is called a blue moon, and that's um, not not extremely rare, but happening on October 31 with some other alignments was a pretty magical rare event. So I find it fascinating that we and a full moon, actually the energy of a full moon lasts for 3 days. So I find it fascinating that we're actually in the magic of a rare blue moon for this November election. So there's just a little brief fact note for the morning.
That's awesome. So much to talk about around energy and the astrology that we take for granted and we've never been taught about. It's a fascinating subject.
Well,
I'd
and
love to
that's
get into it.
yeah, and that's kind of part of the awakening, right? Is when we realize and gosh, we say these things and we talk about these things. We've been talking about these things for a long time. But I know for me personally, it's I guess because I've thought about it, read about it, studied it, pulled it into my thinking, meditated on it. I am just amazed at the reality behind this truth experientially. And yet, it's such a truth that is covered in darkness. I mean, as children, we are not taught that life is energy, and that's all it is. I mean, I am an energy or a vibrational being. My thoughts have a vibration, they are energy. And every thought has a particular energy pattern, which has an electromagnetic pull on it, so that when you transmit a certain thought, it goes out into that. We talked last week about Tesla, the ether field, the force field, whereby everything takes place, right? And so when I think a thought, it goes out into this field, this force field, this substance field, and actually has a pull and attracts the thing that I'm thinking. It attracts that to me, and then I see it externally as my reality. So yeah, that was a big statement, right?
Yeah, wow, we jumped off. We jumped
We
right
just
back into it.
I can't help
I
it.
was just going to say something about the blue moon, but okay.
Go ahead, because
No, I was just saying I think everyone's probably heard the thing where it's like they get on full moons on Fridays. There's more emergency calls and people get
more women
moony.
have babies on full
Yeah,
moon. Yeah.
yeah. It's like a certain type of energy comes out of people. I felt it myself actually. Just felt a weird ramp up to it, and then just kind of strange amounts of energy today and yesterday, like in the morning. Yeah, just stuff like that, you know. I
And
feel
so
we're
when you align yourself into the awareness that we are energy bodies, and you start teaching yourself to be aware of the energy that's moving through you, that's when life, I love your word, ramps up. That's when life starts ramping up and you start having this union with the universe, and you begin to feel like you're part of this symphonic, orchestra, and you're actually participating in this energy flow. That's when it's really exciting.
yeah, yeah. And I think we have to be aware that many of us, I mean, I'm just talking about myself maybe, but we weren't raised in an environment where that was ever a thing that we were supposed to consider. Or maybe you mature into it. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I've lately, in the last few years, I've been trying to be more mindful of the energy patterns that are around me in nature, like the cycles of nature, the cycle of the moon and that kind of stuff. I definitely, if I think about it, I usually can see something in my life that's being affected by it. And I'm not trying to put disparate things together or try to connect things that are unconnected, but I do think it's there. And I think people have always known about it. I just think that in our, just where our values are today, the values around fear and scarcity and that kind of stuff, and not around abundance and understanding the mechanics of creation. People want to look at, pull things apart, look at them. You know, I currently have a job as a consultant doing kind of like data and finance kind of stuff. And people want to pull everything apart, right? They don't want to see the big picture.
Well, so this is, again, this podcast is about awakening, correct?
Great.
And that's our entire message, is surrounding what does it look like? What does it feel like? What does this awakening mean? I mean, and how does that relate to my life, my conditions, situations, and experiences? When we wake up, we realize that this life as energy, okay, is something that I have power to manipulate. And I'm not saying that in a perpetrator victim mindset. I'm saying that I have the inner coding, the inner essence to 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 participate in this energy world that is more real than the external reality, where we think that things that are happening externally are happening in spite of what's going on inside of me, that I have no control over current events, right? In other words, what's going on at work, in my relationship, globally, uh, financially, economically, socially, I have no control over. That's something that's going on outside of me. And I just have to learn to accept what is happening. But when you wake up, part of the awakening is realizing that first and foremost, what's going on is going on inside of me first. That's the cause. And that I control that cause. And that's a really, really not only difficult concept, but it is the absolute power
Right. And so in our last conversation, we started with the steps, asking, believing, and receiving, but we got to the asking part, making the intention, asking, and maybe we can clarify that a little more clearly or remind people about that, the asking, what's intention and what's asking, and how to look at those two. And like you said, pulling that into reality through manifestation techniques. And
Well, and that's the whole key. If you then awaken and realize that life is energy and that you have the power, ability, authority to to manipulate the flow of energy. Energy is what creates your reality. In other words, the cause is a spiritual cause first. What you see and experience externally is the effect of the internal cause. So when you begin to take authority and responsibility of your life, then it's up to you to create the life of your dreams, the life that you want to experience, the life that's going to make you happy, excited, feel alive. Then you've got to abide by the principles or the laws of manifestation to take control of your life. And in doing that, you learn what the steps are, and then you actively engage those steps to create your reality. So yeah, the first step is asking. In other words, I don't look externally and say, well, this is what's been given to me, therefore this is the reality that I have to live. I can't get out of it. I have no control over it. I didn't ask for it. It was given to me. And therefore, I'm miserable. I'm unhappy. And this is where depression, severe depression, comes from, is feeling hopeless and helpless. So what I'm saying is that I don't care what's going on externally. 1,000 can be falling in my side and 10,000 can be falling in my right side, but it doesn't come near me because I have awakened. I've accepted responsibility and I'm creating the reality that I want to create. And I'm living the abundance, the happiness, the unlimited supply, the joy, regardless of what's going on around us. So that's exciting news. And we have this opportunity to actually experience this power of creating. Like last night, I sent you the link. Oh my God, it was so, and I got really triggered. The financial breakdown of in London taking place right now, and they showed the video. The streets of London were just a ghost town. You walked through Trafalgar Square, which is usually just a hustling, bustling, thriving social metropolis, and it's just a ghost town.
And it's not even around the US elections. Is there an election going on or?
No, this is COVID.
Okay. This is COVID. Yeah, the lockdown.
This is the lockdown. This is right. And look what's going on in Israel. I mean, look what's going on in
right,
New Zealand. Is it I mean, we are in not just in America, but the globe is, my daughter's in Costa Rica. The borders have been closed. I mean, they depend on tourism. People are not traveling. We are talking families that are literally, I'm saying starving. I'm saying people are hungry. Children are going without food. Okay. And what this message is, this is the excitement of this message. And we talked a little bit about the crossroads. We're at a crossroads. We have this agenda on one side. And if you walk in this agenda, this is what is going to happen around you. 1,000 people are going to fall here. 10,000 people are going to fall here. I mean, we're seeing it economically. We are seeing the falling of people who are losing their jobs and losing their homes, losing their retirement accounts. I mean, this is a crisis. It's a crisis of a global scale. And yet, what I am telling you, this is the guarantee, this is a promise. This is not some pie in the sky, some fantasy, some delusional individual that has lost their mind and is diagnosed with grandeur psychoses. And, I'm talking about a real law, a universal law that supersedes this world's system. Okay? There's a reality, there's a world above this world that has a greater law, an absolute law that supersedes this law here globally. And that in the awakening, an individual can step up and into this new world reality, whereby no matter what lack, scarcity, and fear dominion is going on in this other world, that there is a world where you can create a world of unlimited supply to meet all your needs, to still live in abundance, joy, happiness, and be excited about living no matter what's going on around you. So I know that
Well,
was a long.
that's what a lot of people are struggling with. It's like when people meet these challenges head on, they seem to come out of nowhere. A lot of the meaning around people's lives have been put into question. It's like, well, why am I doing this? What am I working for? I just lost my business. I just lost my connections with my friends and family through my political affiliations. Like I think a lot of people are just really going into like a crisis of identity. And
Well, it is an identity crisis, because we've been identified in this lower world, harmonic universe, 1, dimension 1, 2, and 3 reality. This matrix, this global matrix of reality is in crises. And so you go down with the ship, go down with the Titanic, or you step up your game. This is the beauty of this global situation. This is not something that is man created. This is not something that, happened in a lab, across the other side of the planet, and everybody's blaming, you did it, he did it, she did it, they did it. And here we are, we're all in crises, and I'm the victim. And oh my God, I'm in terrible fear. And now I have this lack and scarcity. We could look at that, and that is a reality. 2 or 3 sessions back, we talked about 2 worlds, 2 realities, correct?
mm-hmm.
And two timelines. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. There is one timeline, lower harmonic universe, one reality going on that is still in crises and will continue moving towards greater and greater destructive construct, versus step out of that reality. I mean, step up and step out. Step up vibrationally and step out of that world and come over here and actually begin to apply all those principles that you sat in church and your pastor told you to believe in, right? Perfect love casts out all fear. Well, if that's the truth, are you in fear or are you in love? Those are the 2 worlds. Scripture says, I give you a reality of curse and death, or I give you a reality of blessing and life. And this is what the awakening is all about. We're talking about ascension. We're talking about resurrection. We're talking about the shift. We keep talking about it, but are we doing it? And are we doing it means, am I doing it? Am I personally?
Right. And we're not looking for an external
savior.
We're not doing stuff around a new age sloganing thing. You could probably talk about that. I always find that really fascinating.
The truthers,
Yeah, truthers, right?
The other
Yeah,
side of the same coin.
I mean, I have to say a Q. Can I say? Oops, I said Q. But yeah, we're looking for stuff like that, right?
Right.
That kind of messaging,
The
right?
Nasara Jasara. I mean, we're looking for the Savior to come on a white horse and to change this world condition, right? We're looking for the rapture. We're looking to be taken to heaven. But what this message is heaven is already on earth. And that heaven that's on earth is the kingdom that lives inside. And so you've got to leave the external reality, come into the inner kingdom, which lives in your heart. And there's a door in there, which if you will come inside and walk through that door is a door that no man can close. Okay? There is nothing that is greater than that heavenly kingdom. And so I am the temple that actually brings heaven to earth through my inner awakening and my union with God force, source energy, the life, the creator of all things. I marry my mindfulness, my thinking, my beingness, my experience. I marry and become the greatness, the good, the substance, the unlimited supply, the love, the peace, the harmony, the joy, the blessing that I am, which lives inside of me as myself. And so I bring heaven to earth through my experiencing of this now new world reality, which is what the ascension and the resurrection is all about. We don't have to wait to die to be resurrected. We want to be resurrected while we're living so we can experience the Garden of Eden while we're, I mean, that's what this whole thing was all about, was experiencing paradise on earth. That's the whole blueprint. That was the divine order. And we just got lost. And so what's happening now is we're finding our way back. And finding your way back, we have a manual. I didn't come up with this. This is not anything that I had any capacity to design. But the designer of all things gave us this universal law to find our way back to our power and our ability to create this new world where lack, scarcity, fear, terror, victim, enslavement, psychological terrorism, walk out of those prison doors of your mind and enter the land of paradise. And that's what this message is all about. So the first step is in creating a world that's different than the external world that we're looking at, is that you have to ask for the life that you want. You've got to become a creator. Step into that role. I am creator. I am creator. And then you ask yourself, well, what am I creating? And that's where it becomes very personal. You've got to now design your blueprint of the house, the kingdom, the relationship, that you want to live. What makes you happy? What rocks your boat? What excites you? What thrills you? What makes you feel alive? So, and then I'm going to let you talk, but I want to translate energy because this is really, really important. Energy is about feeling.
Right. Well, I think a lot of us are on a roller coaster of feelings. I mean, I think I speak for myself, but like I'll have a day, the sun's out, uh, it warms up, it's beautiful. I'm just outside and my mind just goes blank because it's a beautiful place to be. And then I'll go out another day and I'll have 50,000 things on this little list of things. I got to change the oil in my truck. I have to go and pick up this thing, make this phone call. I have somebody I have to take care of, whatever. And it just like my mind is just exploding with all these responsibilities. So it's like,
So that's your 3D reality versus that's your lower matrix reality. So you're living reality externally there, right? What we're coming to is that the reality that you're living while you're in nature, you're feeling the sun, you have no expectations from your external environment, and you're free on a Sunday afternoon to live the life of your dream. Sunday afternoon, you go out and you do exactly what you want to do. You go hiking, you go camping, you go to whatever that is that makes you feel really free. What I'm saying to you and to everyone, and this is through personal experience. You may say, "Oh, well, you've never had the hardships that I've had." If I told you the hardships I've had, um, you would realize that I'm telling you the truth. I've been through the valley of the shadow of death, not one time, but many times, as all of us have been. But what I'm saying is that experience that you have on a Sunday afternoon, living a couple of hours where you're feeling really good, is the experience that we are developing to live all the time, regardless of what's going on externally. I live internally first. So for a season, until your world is created, you've got to walk simultaneously between two worlds. And this is a conundrum. We have not experienced our multidimensionality of beingness. In other words, I'm riding a bicycle automatically, but I can still live in my heavenly reality internally until I ride that bicycle to the beach, put that bicycle up, and walk on the beach, living the life of my dreams. And you might say, well, this is just a bunch of wishful thinking. How can I actually live that life? What I'm telling you is that you can. And when we start taking I can't out of our relationship, out of our conversation, then you will begin to see that all things are possible. And that is exciting in and of itself. When you get it, when you get that all things are possible, nothing is impossible, all things are possible. When you get that, the degree to which you believe in that is the degree that you will begin feeling of excitement. And when you begin feeling feelings of joy and excitement, things are going to start happening. Your shift in reality, your shift in your external environment is going to happen. I guarantee it. And asking is the first step.
nice. I just want to let that sink in for a second. I'm just trying to process that because that's something that I know most people have experienced. That you've been in a state of blissful, kind of just subconscious flow state,
Not
doing something.
subconscious.
Well, there's a degree of subconsciousness when you're flowing.
Well, the flowing, yes, but the blissful state is an awareness. It is the awakened state that I am here in that state now. That's the awakening. The unconscious is operating over here where my external plays on my feelings, my energy, and manipulates my energy into feelings of fear. But because I've taken control of my energy and my feelings through my faith and my belief that there is a greater reality that is over this whole reality, then I am my coming back to center is coming back to that reality, and that is heaven. See, when you step over into heaven, that's the energy, that's the matrix, that's the energy footprint. The higher vibrations are vibrations of peace, excitement. I mean, that's the whole energy matrix. So when you shift over into a heaven matrix of reality, you can't not be in the vibrational matrix that world is actually made from. This world, the energy construct is very low energy. Shame, guilt, fear, condemnation, rejection, abandonment, low self-esteem. And that's when you have your reality and you operate from that world, then yes, you're going to constantly be bombarded with all the experiences that world gives you.
I mean, this mechanics makes a lot of sense mechanically now that I think you've explained it. And so let's just like put it in perspective about some of the practices people can do to start to, well, now that you understand the mechanics of it,
The energy of it.
the energy of it, the mechanics of creation, the mechanics of manifestation, I know that one of the things that is always thrown out there is meditation. It's like you can meditate for 30 seconds, 30 minutes, 30 days. Like, where are we? Like, is that, I think that's super important to set intentions, usually early in the morning when you wake up, or in the, when you're getting in a stressed out situation, or at the end of the day before you go to sleep. Is that part of a practice? I know a lot of people like say, oh, well, practices are good for some people, not good for others. Some people have them, some people don't. That's, where do you come in on that as part of the mechanics of creation?
Well, I think that part of shifting from one matrix of reality, which I call the current world structure, system, to shifting into a heavenly matrix of reality. Clearly, part of one's ability to become mindful, to become more aware of what am I thinking and what am I feeling. Meditation helps us to let all the external go and come here and be present with what's going on with me right now. What's going on with my body? What am I feeling? What are my thoughts? And so meditation allows us that space where we can kind of lock out the external stimuli and give us a place where we can begin to create relationship with ourselves and find that reality or the me that's behind my external lower self, lower S self identity. In other words, I am not my clothes, my title, my job, my relationship, who my parents think I. There's a whole spiritual identity. And meditation helps me access that awareness that's behind all of this that's going on with me externally. And when I access this real eternal being, this immortal, eternal, always present, always stable, always love. When I see that and feel that, I begin to get a sense of what it means to shift my thinking from what's happening to me to I am happening to it. In other words, I see myself no longer as the victim or the perpetrator, but I see myself as this omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, eternal being. And I begin building a sense of security and safety, that there's something greater than what's always happening to me externally. And that I have, from that position, I begin to see that I actually control everything going on externally. So meditation is a very important, very, very important. But then what happens as you begin developing your meditation sense and you begin experiencing this other identity is you move from meditation to just, that's who I am now all the time. I'm meditating all the time because I'm always coming back to center. I'm always coming back to that place that I found in meditation. Once I find it and once I experience it, then I can always come back to it no matter where I am and what's going on around me. That's when, oh my gosh, that shift from meditating for 30 minutes in the morning or meditating before I go to bed, or if I get a moment during the day to close my office door or go to the bathroom and close my door from my children, and I get those times, I can go there. I've found the bridge and I'm able to go there, not only go there, but to be there all the time. And that's just,
Well, also the patience to know that if you stray from that area, if you get really into the mind or really into the emotion, usually like the deep kind of more base emotions, I would say, the lust, the greed, the
triggers.
anger, the triggers, right?
If you get lost,
You get lost in those, like everyone does. Like something
course.
will happen in the course of a day and you'll just be, you don't understand what it really, I mean, you'll understand what happened, but you won't always understand why it triggered such a deep emotion coming up. But like you said, I think having the confidence to know that it might take an hour, maybe a day, potentially 2 days, but it's kind of like these flows these states we go through, and you'll know it'll clear, it'll go away. But yeah, that's what
Well,
I
that's a
found challenging.
beautiful, I mean, really, that's another beautiful conversation, William Collins, is that when you finally see this um, higher octave reality and you see yourself as that eternal, immortal being, that when we come back into 3D reality and we do live unconsciously and we get triggered, the beauty is that the moment that you remember, you can just shift. You know, we talk about 0 point energy, right? No longer do we have to travail, you know, a month storm in the dark. We learn how to just shift to 0 point and simply get redemption, get, you know, forgiveness is kind of I have a little different concept of forgiveness, but we come back to that redeemed beingness, and we just, okay. But those periods of living unconsciously begin to shorten. I mean, I still, oh my heavens. I mean, because this world construct is so programmed. It is so hardwired. It is that, of course, it doesn't just dissolve instantly. Can you imagine where we would all be if this lower reality just poof was, you
Well,
know,
we'd all starve, I think,
well,
because
yeah, because we
yeah.
haven't developed our beingness yet as an immortal being, and how to receive, how to ask, believe, and receive our unlimited supply. We're not there yet. So we would all, you're right, we would, it would just be total anarchy. Well, it's what we're seeing, isn't it? Total chaos. This is, as the ascension period happens, you begin to see people's identity, you begin to see world structures dissolving in a way that, look at the response. Instead of staying home and remaining in peace, love, and harmony, what are many people doing? They're going out into the streets and trying to control this fearful environment that they're in. I mean, how what I'm saying is, it just shows that there's still so much of the old identity that we, you know, being reborn, right? I mean, scripture talks about that we go through the death of the old man so that we can be reborn in the new. And yet, how little conversation, or how much, how lack, how much of a lack of understanding do we have of what that death, let's say that again, death of the old man in order to become a brand new man. We are so programmed in the old way. I am so programmed by the experiences that I had as a child that created my identity, that learning what my spiritual identity, my eternal identity is not a really, really super easy task.
Hmm. Yeah, that's I think we all struggle with that. I mean, that's like I said, I think we're just all on a bit of a roller coaster as far as where our attention is, where our shifting mind is. And yeah, we're just drawn into these they're like kind of spin cycles, I'd like to call them, of
The drama loop.
drama loops. Yeah. I'm a I'm a victim, I'm a perpetrator, I'm a savior, I'm not going to get involved, but I'm going to be an observer, whatever it is, right? You're still participating. I mean, even the observer is participating. It's the observer principle, right?
Of course. I mean,
So,
but that's when you become the creator. Like
right.
instead of everything happening to you, you create what's happening. And this is the mechanics of manifestation. And what we're talking about is, if you want your life to change, what we're trying to say is you can make the change. And what we're giving you are the steps. And so and with the steps, the condition is that you do the steps.
Right. There's no magic pill you can take. There's no savior. There's no, yeah,
So you create your vision. That's the asking. Now you got to really, really, really lock it down to what is your vision. Without a vision, my people perish. It's that simple. It is done unto you as you believe. So what do you want? That's the first thing. What do you want? Number two.
It's not a conditional thing. It's not, I want something because I know in my heart that this is something that would give me a great deal of peace and align with who I am. That's the condition. It's not, I've tried to do this 20 years ago and failed at it, therefore it's a waste of time, and people told me they didn't like it. And so that's always running in the back of my head. And I had recently had somebody ask me to write down my failures, which normally people write their goals down, right? Because that sounds more in alignment with what makes sense, right? But the whole practice of looking at your failures, and you're not looking at them, you're looking to transcend them, but you're identifying these subconscious patterns that are running in the background that are creating these things that are telling you that you can't do things.
Absolutely.
So we have to get these things clear. It's like, okay, well, you know that this is aligns with you, who you are, and what you are about. You've made that decision. You've said that, but then you're sabotaging yourself because you failed at something, which everybody does. Everyone has to fail. You have to fail up, or, they say fail forward, fail upward, whatever. Yeah. And you can't look at that guy over there who didn't fail and got what he wanted, or never had to do any work and got what he wanted. Or sometimes you got what you wanted in your younger years, and something came very easy to you, and you belittled it and went for something that was harder because it looked more socially responsible. I mean, everybody can identify with that. I think that's let's say you're really good at playing music. That's the classic one. I'm really talented in music, but I can't make any money, so I'm going to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. I mean, hey, some people really like being doctors and lawyers. They're wired up for that. So it's finding that, that thing that really makes you come alive and excites you. And
this gets into, I say that the steps are very simple. How much more simple can there be? It's 3 steps: ask, believe, and receive. Okay. So in a sense where I don't put any thought into that, I say it's really quite simple. But what we see is that when we get to each step, then this is where the work comes in, because I start coming up against my subconscious programming. When I say, what do I want? That's in the asking. I have to create my vision statement, right? What is my dream? What is my passion? What is my desire? What is my goal that I want to achieve? What is my objective? What is my hunger and my thirst? What was I coded by the one creator to do. What is my mission? What is my purpose? What makes me feel alive? Well, you would say, oh, I just write that down. That's really easy. What happens is we come up against what you just said. All of these, well, I can't do that because I can't make any money. I can't do that because I'm not tall enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that. And this is where the work takes place. So now let's say we create our vision statement. Second step is to believe. Okay. So now you shift from, well, that's what I want out there, to, well, I believe scripture says that faith is believing in that which is unseen as though it already is. In other words, I've got to look at the end as though I already have it. So you and so what happens is that when I look externally that I'm not there yet, I start letting that not being there yet be my reality, and I start doubting that what is unseen over here is my belief and my faith. I'm not seeing it externally because I was told that I couldn't have that. I was told that I couldn't do that. All those I can't. All of that has got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. And you got to keep coming back to center, come back to center, come back to the promise, come back to the promise. And you begin developing your faith muscles. And as you begin developing your faith muscles, then you start seeing that which is unseen inside of you, oh my gosh, wow, I'm really feeling it. And now synchronicities start happening in the receiving aspect, because the receiving is just as difficult as the asking and believing. Now you've got to allow that which is unseen to come into manifest form. And that experience of tying that which you created a vision for, then you believed in it, and you watched it come into manifest form. Once you begin experiencing some of those, oh my gosh. And this particular event that we're in, which is a stellar activation cycle, which is the ascension cycle, that timeline between vision statement, believing period, faith period, to manifesting in external form is starting to, the timeline, the manifestation times are just, if you'll get in the flow, if you'll get in this ascension flow, if you'll get into this believing flow, if you'll get into this heaven is already dropping onto earth flow, if you'll get into the belief that the stargates are open, that the golden age is here, that the dawning of the light is no longer just at the horizon, that we're at the noonday sun, and you begin walking away from the world of fear and lack and scarcity, and you start getting a vision for living in the Garden of Eden, where, you know, all the things that you want are available. You've just got to learn how to ask, believe, and receive. I mean, it is just, that's where we are, guys. That's, and you can feel my excitement, because I mean, I was in such darkness. Oh my God.
Well, heck, this is awesome. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. I think you bring such such energy to this message, and it's such an exciting conversation that we're having. And this is we're actually kind of right up at the time. So this sounds like a great way to kind of just end this part 2, potentially a part 3 or something related. So
we've got 5, 6, 7 minutes. Maybe.
7 minutes.
So,
okay. Yeah. Do you want to do a wrap on that? I think you were kind of, that's why I think you were coming in on a landing there. Yeah. And
just ask the mechanics of manifestation. Ask
Yeah. And
Breathe,
I'll just throw
receive.
a personal thing out since I have this, tropical background.
Yeah. I
And
mean, is
I
that your
traveled a
vision
lot.
statement?
Well, I traveled a lot like when I was in my 20s, and I always noticed with traveling, if you were kind of forced into a flow state because nothing was firm. You couldn't rely on anything. Maybe your passport, that someone was going to steal that. Hopefully you had some money, but sometimes you didn't. So I think a lot of people that did the travel nomadic thing for a while, that you're forced into a situation where you have to start to use that energy to manifest your, good things happening. It's like you have to tap into that. You don't have this structure and this rigidity that you'd have going to school or, being at home and all that. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other, because I feel there's a shadow side to traveling as well. Like, there's just a lot of stress that builds up because you're not satisfying both sides of that equation, because you're always moving. So, but I do think that travel does shake people out of their rigidity. And I think we're in a lot of rigidity right now. So I do feel, I'll say it again, I think, and everyone is hearing it, is that if you have the ability to go outside and be in nature and experience the cycles, like kind of just, we started out with talking about the moon, right? So if you can be outside and it's nice, and I mean, even if it's a crazy weather event, like blowing winds and rain and stuff, still that's exciting. That has like a lot of energy to it. So try to engage all aspects of the natural environment. I think that's what I would say is something that'll put you in touch with you, as
Pull
opposed
out
to
of the
sitting in front
negative.
of
Yeah,
sitting in front of screens.
pull out of the negative.
Right.
Place yourself in the positive, and it is available, and that is a simple thing to do. So that's
And
a good.
we most of us, like people that are making steady money these days, are usually sitting in front of a screen, because everything else has been basically pulled away from people, like small businesses, whatever. So you have a job, maybe you're doing computers or, something in that related field where you have to sit in front of a screen to make money, that you have to balance that. It has to balance. I normally on the weekends don't even look at a screen because I've sit at a screen all day for work. So, I mean, these are tools, but they're
No, they're great tools. Shut your phone off. Go on a media
yeah,
fast. Go on a go on a
or
silent
at least just a
fast.
few hour fast, like
Yeah.
just a few hours. Take the apps off. I mean, I really had to take the social media apps off my phone because they would just blow up all the time. And then I had to just tell myself I'm leaving the phone at home. And if somebody,
Experience that. Yeah.
yeah, if it's emergency, it's an emergency. I'll get it. I'll take care of it in an hour.
Right.
It doesn't, if it's usually within an hour or 2 hours, you're probably okay.
Right. I mean, if I'm dead, there's nothing
Yeah.
you're gonna do anyway, right?
Yeah.
Let's get into the flow that life does. The universe does support us. We're not here alone doing our own thing, and that's really part of the awakening. Also, is getting connected with life and feeling supported by it. I'm not doing this by myself. There is a grand design that I'm just a piece of the fabric, that makes up the whole. And when you really get that, you can let down your guard, let your control down, let all of these superficial masks, haha, um, take them off and let the sun shine in. So, okay, we're
All
like,
right. Well, let's
uh,
part two. Thanks.
well,
This
so
is,
are you going to invite me to your beach? I really would like to
oh,
go.
yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah. I don't know how much more it extends that way or that way, but
You
or
know
we can
what? You
do.
You just need that little
Yeah.
reality, and that's the vision, right? So
Yeah. And you can see the sunbeam came in and
okay, I love you,
backlit it.
Collins, and
Okay.
I love our morning talks. Let's come
Great.
up with some other conversations, and we'll do this again next Monday morning.
Sounds great. Thank you for joining
Okay,
us to the Awakening podcast. This is Jacqueline and Collins signing
namaste.
out. Namaste.